Currently, the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 17. Beginning at the 20th verse. I'll talk to you all today. I can preserve energy to cheer for the Eagles tonight. First Samuel chapter 17, beginning at the 20th verse. You stand one more time for reading this word. The word of God reads and says, "And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper and took and went as Jesse has commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran to the army and came and saluted his brother and his king. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the Philistines said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. Sorry, I went down to verse 43, sorry. Verse 44 says, And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of the hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." Amen. You may have a seat. We're talking today is simply fighting with no backup. Somebody say that, fighting with no backup.
Fighting with no backup.
The worst feeling in the world is to feel as if you are accomplishing something difficult with no one to count on. To be in a crowded room, but yet feel all alone. Anybody ever been like that before? You've been in a crowded room amongst people you know. But I know that sometimes you can be into a new place and be around people. But to be in a crowded room but feel all alone. To reflect upon empty promises or to even lose the expectations of those who are the closest to you. I asked God this question on last night. How can my brokenness ever become whole when my brokenness comes out of my emptiness? You ever get into a place like that? Is that I'm broken because it's hollow on the inside, and I'm empty. And so when I get to certain situations in my life, I cannot withstand them. And I then become broken. And so, God, if I feel empty, how can I then have expectation to ever feel whole? Come on, somebody.
My God.
So my brokenness comes out of my emptiness.
Yes.
I ask the question, say, how can I ever feel equipped if what's supposed to support me is disconnected from the source itself? When I go to it and I try to get the help that I need from it, it's not connected to the source that it needs to provide for me.
My God.
Anybody ever been like that before? I asked God these questions on last night because I could not understand, because I came to this year claiming and saying that I want to be whole.
Yes.
But it seems like the consistency of brokenness remains upon me each and every day. And when I want to look to the right or to the left, I want to look to where I get my help come from. from because I understand that it says that what my help comes what from the Lord. So I got to what look into the hills. But God, what happens with the direction where I'm supposed to come from is no longer there. It's not connected.
Yes, Lord.
For the scripture says the army fled as soon as Goliath came out and said what he came and said, the army fled. Now understand this, that they no longer stood in their purpose. Anybody knows that if the army is supposed to be in place to do what?
Fight.
To fight.
Yes, yes.
So what happens when the army flees from threats and no longer wants to fight because of fear? All he had was what he spoke. And Goliath never had to show anything. But the army still ran.
My God.
Because of threats and because of fear. A fightless army is no army at all. We got to ask ourselves, are we a fightless servant? Are we a fightless saint? Because let me tell you something, if you don't stand for God and fight for God and do for God and do your purpose, you are not a saint at all. God is not looking for a saintless saint. He's looking for a fighting saint. Somebody say, I want to be a fighting saint. This fight was never supposed to be one-on-one. But fear became the common denominator that disqualified any support David could have relied on. I come to let you know this, that don't let fear become your Achilles heel. I told you, people say fear means false evidence appearing real. And I let you know that fear is not a reality. Fear only becomes real when you allow fear to keep you from what God has real for your life. Come on, somebody. If he has a promise or he has a purpose that is real for your life, fear only becomes realistic or becomes reality when you allow it to stop what is reality. Oh, come on. I know that's a little bit more confusing, but it makes sense, right? It's false evidence appearing real. That's like somebody saying that this could happen if this, that, and the other should happen. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have to happen if you know that if God before you, who can stand against you? It does not have to happen if you have faith in God.
Yes, Lord.
But what happens is this, is that we get to a place in our lives that we know what the outcome is going to be, but we let fear keep us from the outcome. We know there's a lot of people I see that they look big, they look the part, but they're not the part.
My God.
I was looking at Snoop Dogg's football league yesterday, and he had a big boy. He's about 13, 14 years old. He's big, but he's weak. He's soft and charming. The only thing he can do is scare you when they warm up.
Yeah. Amen.
You ever have somebody like that? Like, man, he's going to be a beast. But he's weak. I just look at some of the guys I be working in the school. I say, man, I wish I had your size when I was younger. I would already be in the league. You ever see somebody this big and tall for nothing? Yeah. 6'8" and can't even shoot a layup, can't even get the ball on the rope. We don't know what type that Goliath had. I think Goliath was used to just talking, using his image to make fear of everybody. Yes. He didn't even have to prove himself. And sometimes what it is, what is the Goliath in your life? What is the giant that's sitting in your life, keeping you from what God has for you? What do we keep allowing in our lives to keep us from fulfilling the ultimate purpose that God has for you? What is the giant in your life that keeps you broken when God is trying to say, I want you to be whole? You got to say, what's the giant in my life? We'll keep speaking this imitated outcome when God is saying that I have an outcome of reality. What is the giant in my life? And I come to understand this, that fear leads to fleeing. The army became fearful. And the first thing they did was flee. This was their initial instinct. If you look at the text, it says that Goliath began to speak what he spoke already to them. When David showed up, it said that Goliath repeated himself, boasting about what he was going to do. And when he said it again, it said that the army fled. And so when we get in the text, we see that David leaves from tending his sheep to be a part of this war that is going on. The greatest thing about this is about David, is that David wasn't going to sit and do nothing while the enemy was seeking to destroy him and his people. See, David could have had a good excuse. He could have said that I didn't go to the war because I was too busy, tending to sheep. But sometimes we got to get to a place in time that we got to leave the sheep alone, or leave our job alone, or leave our task alone, and get into the battle that God is calling for us to be in. See, we can't make excuses because we say, well, God, I was just doing this, even though, you know, the enemy is coming to what? Steal, kill, and what? Destroy. And at some point in time, you're not going to be able to ignore what the enemy's assignment is on your life. You can go ahead and act like the enemy is not trying to destroy you. You can act like the enemy is not trying to distract you. You can act like the enemy does not have a plan for your life. And you can keep on ignoring it, just doing the same thing. Thinking it's okay. Yeah, I come to church on Sunday, but I'm not going to do anything. Oh, yeah, I may be doing this and the other, but I'm not going to do what he has actually purposed for me to do. But God is saying, you cannot ignore, because I did not just call you just to be a shepherd, but I called you to be a warrior for me. So that when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard, and he will be able to have victory over this battle. Come on, somebody say victory.
Victory.
You can't have victory tending to the sheep.
My God.
God is saying, your fight, you have to have a fight in your life.
Yes.
And get into the purpose that I have for your life.
Yes.
Come on, we got to understand that. When we understand when we're music and we're musicians and stuff like that, we understand that there's talents and there's gifts, but there's also purpose. A lot of times we hide behind our gifts when God has purposes for something else. Your gift was just to get you and lead you up to what your purpose was. They understand that Judah was sent to send praise to God first, but it did not say that Judah did not fight. Come on, somebody. They weren't just sitting there having praise and worship on the sideline while everybody else was sitting there fighting. No, they led with the praise first and said, now it's time to fight. Come on, somebody. God said you can't just set it up for the fight and then leave, but God said set it up and then get in the fight.
Yes.
Oh my God, I feel my help coming a little bit. Y'all pray pretty good.
My God.
You see,
Thank you, God.
that there's nothing that the enemy want to do is to just destroy us. So we cannot sit by the side just waiting.
Yes.
We have to get like David. Sometimes we have to fix our attention on what the enemy is doing in our lives. I told y'all before, it was just like when Jonah was thrown into the boat. You can't just keep trying to throw everything around what Jonah was doing. Everybody knew that Jonah had to be thrown off that boat in order for them to be saved by the storm.
Yes.
And what they were doing, they was doing what? They was just sitting there trying to throw everything else off the boat and save Jonah.
Yes.
And you can't do that. You got to get to a place in time that God said that if you got to get rid of whatever you got to get rid of.
Yes.
I know you may love it. I know you may be attached to it. I know it may hurt to get rid of it. But God said if he say let it go, you got to let it go. Come on, somebody say let it go. Come on, throw it overboard. He don't want you to have a chance. He didn't say place it nicely on land somewhere. Get rid of it once you get to land. Sometimes you will be in the middle of your storm, in the middle of your deep blue sea, and God's going to say, get rid of it right now. Throw it overboard and destroy it. And I promise you, I'll save your life.
Thank you, Jesus.
So God is saying that you can't ignore the storm and the situation that's going on in your life. You can't ignore the fact that the enemy is coming to destroy you. It is not an excuse that the enemy is fighting you. The excuse is this: if the enemy is fighting you, then fight back. Somebody say fight back.
Fight back.
Yeah. While you tending to what you're tending to, the enemy is tending to you. That's what's going on in our communities right now. While everybody is minding, I guess what they so-called say, minding their own business. I thank God that I was born, I guess, at the end part of the generations where they said, you know, a community can be a village and they're all one big family. And that it didn't matter. I grew up in the era that, you know, your neighbors could be in your business and nobody would get upset. I grew up in the era that when they say your kid is cutting up, you would chastise your kid and not chastise your neighbor. Come on, somebody. Times has changed. I was there when you can tell your kid is cutting up, he's acting a fool, you better get him before I get him. And when the parents just say, well, then go ahead and get him. Not then I get you, and then they everybody taping on the internet. I ain't grew up in that era. I grew up in that era where the community tended to everybody in the community because it was their community. Yeah. Now we just have our houses and we don't really care about our neighbors. And it gets to a point in time that while we're tending to everything else or our so-called minding our business or so-called not snitching, we get to a place that guess what? The enemy is still tending to our young folk. The enemy is still killing our young men. The enemy is still putting our young men in jail. The enemy is still getting our people addicted to crack cocaine and to drugs and to alcohol. Come on, somebody. While we're tending to minding our own business, the enemy is tending to us.
Yes. Yes.
Minding our own business and marriages are still failing. Minding our own businesses and teenagers are still dropping out of school. Teen pregnancy is still rising. Come on, somebody. Minding our own business and we still have a high unemployment rate.
My God.
Because all we doing is just minding our own business. We ain't worried about nobody and nothing else. And we just say, as long as the devil don't come knocking on my door, but what about your neighbor?
My God, my God.
But then when the devil does come knock on your door, then you talk about, where was the church? Where was everybody else at? Where was you at? When the enemy was just 2 doors down from you.
My God.
You should have seen the enemy coming, because if he was 2 doors down from you and he hit next door last week, you should have already knew that he was coming to your doorstep this week. Come on, somebody. We got to be able to attend to everything. That's what's going on. The enemy is tending to our minds. The enemy is tending to our sanity. The enemy is tending to our emptiness, our brokenness. The enemy is tending to our emotions, tending to our habits. And before you know it, we are witnessing a battle that nobody is willing to fight. Why didn't anybody want to step up? How was it so easy for the army to flee from one man's threats? Because everybody was tending to their own selves, which left everybody vulnerable. That's the part they didn't understand. If I'm only tending to my own thing, we all are left, what? Vulnerable. And we got to get to a place of time that I can't just be about my own business. But that's what's happening. David got into a predicament that he was fighting with no backup, because everybody else was tending to their own thing. So we are in the season that many people don't care about the damage the battle will bring. At the end of the day, they will do nothing to stop it. Don't bask in your brokenness because of fear. I came to encourage you, just let you know that today. Don't rest in your brokenness because you are fearful. Sometimes it's going to take a step out on what we call what? Faith. To be able to come out of your brokenness. Yes. See, what it is that we found a way to survive in our brokenness. We've been saying this all last year. We found a way to survive in our brokenness. And so we think that, okay, we become comfortable in our brokenness. Come on, somebody. When we become comfortable in our brokenness, we are fearful when God says, I still have more for you. I still have better for you. I still have greater for you. But we don't want greater. We don't want better. We don't want more, because we became complacent in our brokenness. We have learned how to smile even while broken. We have learned how to advance even while broken. We have learned how to move forward even while broken. And God has said, it's taking too much effort for you to go forward broken. I'm trying to help you save some energy and some strength and allow you to move forward whole. But God is saying, you got to get out of your fearfulness. And don't let brokenness or your fear or brokenness keep you from what God has for you. Because you have to be willing to stand firm within your brokenness and claim wholeness. Sometimes you got to be able to stand firm in the middle of your circumstance, in the midst of your issue, and sit there and say that even while I'm broken today, I'll yet be made whole. Even while I may be suffering today, I yet will be strengthened. Even I may be weak today, but I know I will be strong tomorrow. Come on, somebody. Sometimes you got to stand firm in the middle of your brokenness and say, I shall be made whole. I dare any of y'all to stand right now, whether you're broken or not, and say, I shall be made whole. See, I got one witness right there. Come on, somebody. I don't care what you may be going through. I don't care if you may not see it, but you want to stand right now in the midst of your situation and declare and say, I shall be made whole. I shall be made whole. Brokenness shall not kill me. Brokenness shall not take me out. Brokenness, I shall not lose to it. But no matter what it is, I shall be made whole. I may be sick in my body, but I know that I shall be healed. I may be lost in my mind, but I shall have a true mind. Come on, somebody. I shall be clothed in my right mind.
Yes, God. I shall be.
Have a seat.
I shall be.
I shall. Oh, come on. That's what you got to pray. Brokenness will follow you every day in your life. You sit there and say, I shall be made whole. I may be broken today, but I shall be made whole. I may be down and out today, but I shall be made whole. I shall be disappointed today, but guess what? I shall be made whole. It may not be working out right now, but I shall be made whole. Come on, that's a daily declaration. So no matter what it may be, I don't fear.
Shall be.
I don't fear wholeness. I expect wholeness.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
I don't fear coming out.
Yes.
I expect to come out.
Yes.
I don't fear broken chains. I expect broken chains.
Yes, Lord.
And so we can't ignore the fight.
My God. Thank you, Lord.
I beseech you, therefore, brother,
Thank
that you cannot ignore the fight. Whatever you do, I'm telling you with a sense of urgency today that you cannot ignore the fight. Don't ignore it because you're going to have to face it one way or the other. Don't get afraid or be afraid of the words or the threats of your Goliath in your life. Because understand that someday, one day, you're going to have to face it. Whether it's with a group of people or by yourself, do not ignore the fight that you're in.
Yes, Lord.
You can't escape it. You can't avoid
Thank
it.
you, Lord.
You can't hide from it.
Thank you.
Because it's coming around your way. One moment or the other. You have to take the fight and become victorious over it. I used to sing a song when I first got to Edinburgh. I used to sing a song that said, "No coward soldiers." And I'll come to understand what that song really means, because I used to have this. I used to say, if I was ever drafted, you could put a gun in my hand, you put a uniform on me, but I said, I'm going to be the first person ducking behind something, not shooting a thing. That was my plan. I said, if I have to go to the war, I'm going to go out there like I'm ready, then I'm going to hide behind something, and I'm never going to come up and shoot. I'm just going to be like, that's it. That's a coward soldier. If you're not fighting, you're not necessarily a soldier. And yeah, it was cowardly, but that was my plan. I was trying to live. But I've learned in watching so many different movies that there's no protection from dying in the first place.
My God.
Just because you don't shoot don't mean nobody's not going to shoot you.
My God.
And just because you don't see them don't mean they don't see you. And so there is no safety but to put your safety in the hands of God.
Yes, Lord.
And so we are not in a season to look the part. We have to what? Be the part. Your title is nice. The way you dress is nice. Your smile is nice. The way you put yourself together is nice. But if you are not willing to earn the victory that has already been given, now hear this, if you're not willing to earn the victory that's already been given to you, then you will experience a defeat that was not even intended for you.
My God.
Ah, my God, today.
My God.
If you're not willing to earn the victory that God has already given you, then you're going to get a defeat that was not even planned for you.
My God.
How many losses have we experienced that we were not even supposed to lose?
Yes.
Oh my God, today. How many times have we tripped over things that if we would just done it right, we would not have to do it? You know how many people can look at something and say, if I just would have just done it the way I was supposed to do it, I never would have experienced the experience that I experienced. Oh, come on, somebody. I know it's easy to say it after the fact, but sometimes we got to be able to say that in our head, that if I just get it done right this time.
Yes.
Oh, come on, somebody.
Yes.
I ain't going to have to come and experience what comes with doing things wrong. Many of us are losing too many battles we're not even supposed to lose.
My God.
Because cowardly soldiers, God is saying that you got to fight. When I say fight, no matter who's in your corner. So notice that David knew that defeat was not intended for his people. And he wasn't going to let the talk of one uncircumcised Philistine get the best of them without a fight. And so as David began to speak to Saul, David began reminding Saul of how the Lord brought him out of harm's way. And I said this some great thing, and said, no matter how big and strong the enemy talks to you, you can talk right back to the enemy. Oh, come on, somebody. The greatest thing about the enemy, sometimes the devil just has to be reminded how many losses he has. Yes. See, we don't need to focus on a possible loss for ourselves, but we can already give the devil how many losses that he had. Come on, somebody. See, you got to understand that David had to start recollecting, because they didn't believe that David can do what David knew he can do. So he had to go ahead and check him real quick and clap back on him and let him know that, hey, you forget the type of God that has saved me from all these different situations. And I know that if God did it before, he can do what? He can do it again. Sometimes when the enemy comes into your heart, you have to remind him of how God has defeated him before. Sometimes you have to have your own testimony service with the devil. Come on, somebody. When you let the devil know, when you try to take my life, guess what? God blocked it. When you tried to mess up my name, guess what? God replenished it. When you tried to steer me the wrong way, guess what? God redirected me. When you tried to destroy my home, guess what? God covered me. When you tried to break up my family, guess what? God made it stronger. When you tried to take my mind, guess what? God stopped it. Sometimes you have to have a testimony service with the devil and say that when you tried to destroy And I do for the same God yesterday and forevermore. But when you come to me, the Spirit of the Lord shall still lift up a standard against you. Come to me no matter what type of weapons are formed. Guess what? They still will not prosper. No matter what you come to me, you gotta understand that if God before me,
who could be against me?
That's right. Who can be against me? When the fight comes to you, you don't have to avoid the fight. Take on the fight because you serve the God that has already won the fight.
Yes, God. Yes, the victory belongs to you, Lord.
David said, the Lord had delivered me out of the paw of the lion. This is how he's testifying to Saul. In verse 37, he said, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear. Oh, I love how he declared this. He said, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. Oh, come on. Somebody will say that. Say, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. Oh, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. Oh, come on, somebody. Saul couldn't even say nothing else. He said what? He said, Saul said unto David, go and the Lord be with thee. Oh, come on, somebody. That's how you got to be able to say it. No matter what you're going through, no matter what comes your way, no matter what blindsides you, all you gotta do is repeat and say, he will deliver me out of the hand of the Philistine. He will deliver me out of the hand of my enemy. Come on, somebody. You got to be able to speak it. He shall deliver me out of the hand of my enemy. He shall deliver my children out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my children out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my marriage out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my finance out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my mind out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my confidence out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my heart out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my courage out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver my purpose out of the hand of the enemy. He shall deliver me out of the hand of the enemy. The enemy should not destroy me. The enemy should not take my life. The enemy should not cast me out. I shall not be disqualified. But God has given me the victory, and I am qualified. Somebody say, I am qualified.
Yes, Lord.
So, as I close, this is exactly who was with David. It was nobody but God.
Nobody but God.
In verse 43, it says, and the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that has come to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts. Oh, thank you, God. God of the armies of the Israel who thou hast defied.
Yes, Lord.
But he speaks prophetically right here in verse 46. He says, this day will the Lord deliver thee.
Yes.
Oh, I speak that right in your spirit right now. This day. Somebody just touch yourself and say, this day. This day will the Lord deliver me. Oh, come on. I don't care what it may be. I don't care how ugly it may seem. Somebody's got to say, this day will the Lord deliver me. Oh, my God. This day. Oh.
This day
will the Lord deliver me.
My God, this day.
And not only will he deliver thee in the hands, but I will smite thee. I will kill thee.
Yes, Lord, thank you.
And take thine head from thee.
This day.
Then I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistine this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel.
Yes.
And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear. But here we go. For the battle is the Lord's.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
For the battle.
Yes, it is.
Is the Lord's.
Yes, it is.
Oh, come on, somebody. That's why you don't have to flee.
Yes.
Because David understood what nobody else understood. That this wasn't going to be my battle in the first place. Because the same way that I was delivered from the paw, the same way I was delivered from the den, is because the battle was the Lord's and it was not mine. That's why he was able to stand in front of his fear, in front of his giant, and say that this day will the Lord deliver me. Why? Because the battle is the Lord's.
Yes.
No, so I come to find out in this season that nobody else wants to fight with you. It's never too much for you to handle. Why? Because it wasn't meant for you to handle. Come on, somebody. Something can't be too much for you if it wasn't meant for you in the first place. Come on, somebody. God just called you to be present so he can use you. For the battle is not yours. but he will deliver your enemies into your hands.
Yes, Lord.
The fight is not yours, but the victory is yours.
Yes, it is.
The struggle is not yours, but the overcoming is yours.
It is.
The brokenness is no longer yours, but the wholeness is yours. Anybody believe that today? Fight if you have to fight all by yourself. Fight when no one has faith in your ability to fight. Fight when you feel disappointed. Fight when you feel abandoned. Fight when everyone else refuses to fight with you. Fight when they flee from the enemy. Fight as they watch you fight. Fight because you're never truly alone, because God is always by your side. I know I said in the Bible says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I understand that if I look back over the 34 years of my life, I have never been forsaken. I have never been left. I have never been abandoned. I have never been left alone. God has always been by my side.
Thank you, Lord.
He said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor a seed begging for bread.
Yes, Lord. Thank you. Thank you.
So God said, you're never fighting with no backup. I may have just left you alone so that I can fight for you. We're looking for everybody else, and we can't find them. And I seen that song, I searched all over. I couldn't find nobody. Oh, Lord, I searched high and low. I looked at accolades. I looked at titles. I looked at positions, but I still couldn't find nobody. But then I understand that when I was left alone and you still worked it out for my good, I found out there was nobody greater. Nobody greater. Nobody greater. If I have a witness, you ought to say to your feet and say, nobody's greater. Nobody has ever been greater in my life than you, oh God. Nobody has ever been greater in my life than you, oh God. When I've been all by myself, nobody has ever been greater in my life than you, oh God. I have bowed heads sometimes, but you're still greater. I have lost the fight, but you're still greater. I have fallen on my face, but you're still greater.
Nobody like you, Jesus. There's nobody like you.
There's nobody like you, oh God.
Nobody like you.
So I'm fighting with you, oh God. I promise I'll fight. Somebody listen, God, I promise I'll fight with you. I promise I'll fight. I will not flee no more. I will not run from my purpose. I will not run from my ways, God. I will not let my brokenness distract me, but God, I'll fight. Even if I gotta fight broken, I'll still fight. If I gotta fight lost, I'll still fight. Gotta fight blind, I'll still fight.
Jesus.
The title of the lesson says, fight with no backup.
Yes,
I'm not talking about you. Because the fight is not yours, right?
yeah, the battle is the Lord.
It's God's.
Yes.
God is looking at us saying, I'm fighting with no backup.
Yes.
Where are you, Adam?
Yeah.
Where are you,